All right. Have a good night.
Yep.
Good night.
Good evening, Sherry. Where's the Sherry?
Can you hear me now, David?
I can hear you now,
Okay.
loud and clear. Okay, has anybody heard from Matt? I haven't seen him around or anything.
Nope.
No? Oh, well. I'll reach out to him and see what's going on, see if I can get a phone number from somebody. Well, Jeff, what's happening with the community preservation? Anything exciting these days?
Yeah, as the last meeting was back in August. The progress with the Hanson farm.
Yeah, I'm not aware. What's that all about?
Whatever's holding them up, there's some pressure with the town manager and the town attorney to renegotiate the price.
They're trying to sell it to CPC or part of it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I wasn't aware of that either. I know Dave Hanson's had some medical issues.
They want to, I think they want to turn it into open space, like a little nature walk type thing.
The whole farm?
No, not the whole farm. No.
Maybe North Street?
Just a piece of it. Yeah, I don't really remember what part. But the town attorney says it's well underway.
Oh. How long have we been hearing that? Different projects.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Maybe
Maybe the new manager will build a fire under some people and get things going.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Stiles and Hart is coming along great.
Yeah.
They said they have 2 parking lots done. And the town's working with the owner of the land that's landlocked there.
Yeah, I've heard different stories on how that's going. The town, the owner, it's my understanding that the owner wanted to sell it to the town, and the town said no.
Oh.
And then he wanted to do a land swap with the town because his property, both he and the town, well, he abuts town property, so. And the town
That's
said no
fair.
to that. Because I guess the money that was used to purchase the property doesn't allow the town to part with any of it. Okay, so then there was an issue over some application for funding that went towards either the development of the park or the sewer line. And the application stated that the town owned the property, that particular piece, and the application went through. So the owner got a hold of that information and said, well, wait a minute, town got money for this, saying that you own the land. Let's work out some kind of a deal. So the town says, yeah, we'll work out a deal. We'll take it by eminent domain.
Oh,
So the owner of the property said, no, I don't think so. So I guess they're fighting over it now. But
That's a bummer.
yeah, it's too bad. But it'll get resolved one way or another in the future.
maybe not in our lifetime, but
well, it depends on the next manager. I mean, the next manager might be a ball of fire as far as getting things going. I hope he is, because we haven't gotten a lot of things going under the old town manager, but
Mm.
he's Barnstable's problem now, not ours. So
Is
he's
the-
gone.
the interim manager doing okay?
Yeah, I guess her aim is just to keep everybody's head above water and keep the town going. But they did have a problem with the building inspector and the Board of Health agent. They have closed the Board of Health office and moved the Board of Health into the building inspector's office.
Oh,
And that's created a real problem because the Board of Health agent has to maintain HIPAA confidentiality.
Right.
That's the word I'm looking for. And, that's to be expected, but he has no place to discuss confidential problems because he has no isolated area in the building inspector's office to do that. So they've offered him the old Board of Health office, which is now going to be, no, not the Board of Health office. There's another office downstairs in the building. I think it might have been a zoo's old office. There's a conference room down there. So that's what they're offering to the Board of Health and the building inspector's office. And they did hire a Board of Health agent, and she's now Board of Health secretary, clerk, and now she's in the building inspector's office. And that's I think that was supposed to happen this week. And people aren't happy about it. The employees aren't happy about it, neither Board of
Yeah.
Health nor the building inspector. And I guess they're just gonna kind of bide their time and wait till the new town manager comes on board and see if they can work something out. This all came about from the veterans agent who had been down at the senior center, and he was looking for a bigger office and the possibility of having his own clerk, office manager. And they offered him the Board of Health office, and he said, no, I don't want to be down in a hole. So I want to be up above. I want my veterans to be visible on the first or second floor. I want the office to be in a nice spot so they can overlook the common and everything. And this we're taking one step further back. One of the counselors said we need a council meeting room where counselors can meet individually with residents when they so desire.
Mhm.
So they said, well, let's put you in the Board of Health office. And that's how the Board of Health office got evicted from their office. But now this guy is upstairs, and the veterans office is upstairs where he wanted to be, and the Board of Health office is empty, and they're jammed in with a building inspector, and it's a crazy setup. But they're hoping that better minds will prevail with the new manager, and maybe they'll be able to straighten things out. So,
Sounds like
So
a
if you look-
strange coupling, doesn't it? I mean, they
yes,
have,
it's
they
very
have-
strange.
yeah.
Because they're both controlled by totally different branches of state government. Public health and Department of Public Safety. There's no connection between them
No,
at the state level. So it's an odd mix. So that's that. What else
have
you got,
some-
Jeff?
I have some news about the Parthenon freeze. According to the town manager, it should have been installed already. It was supposed to be installed a few weeks from August 28th, meaning early September. So I haven't had a chance to check it or anything, but
No, I'll have to remember to look up next time I go in the hallway. Were they still gonna put it in in that immediate area when you came in the front door of the building?
yeah, I think it's supposed to be in the, original spots they planned.
Oh, good. Well, it'd be an added benefit, added site. It'll look nice inside the building.
A little news about the rebinding of the record book that they were trying to do. They got the info they needed from accounting, which means they can send it to get rebound.
Okay, which record book was this?
One of the really old ones. I think it was Death Records.
Oh. Okay. I hadn't heard about that. I know we were talking about the Edson book. Has anything transpired on that?
Yeah, a little bit of news about that. The seller offered to send it to us, or to have us pay for shipping, which we voted to do. So we're going to have it shipped here for review. See if we want to buy it.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Be good to see it. Now, where will that be going? Into the received by the town clerk or
Oh, I'm
straight
not
to
sure.
CPC? Yeah.
Does it usually go to the town clerk?
I don't know. I don't know who Gina would ask. I mean, Carlton's still the clerk of the works on CPC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I say town clerk, but Merrily isn't the town clerk anymore, so
No.
well, I'll have to ask Jolie the next time I go in. Jolie would know.
Okay.
And anything else?
And the CPC's public hearing is the public forum is supposed to take place on October 28th. And there should be a survey available for us to, hand out to people and take ourselves any day.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything about it, but that's where it was left off.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. I know I put it in my calendar. But I'll have to put a bigger reminder on it because I do want to participate in that.
Yep. And when I broke the news about 96 Main Street to them, Bill had mentioned something about a program that buys and moves historic houses. I didn't catch the name of it, but is that a real thing? Like, is there a program that does that?
I'm not aware of it. I know I've heard of groups that take buildings apart, but I don't believe that would have the same value. But as far as moving that building, that's a big building, and that would be very expensive. Not so much because it's big, because it's tall, and the amount of infrastructure that they would have to move. And I don't know of any vacant land nearby, so I have no idea where that would end up.
I'll try to ask him what it was called next time we're in a meeting, because I don't know, maybe something like that's worth looking into for the future.
Yeah.
Would the town have to buy? I'm sorry, David. Would the town have to buy the building?
I'm not sure. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I know we went through this when we were in the middle of the two buildings where CVS was built. And there was a lot of discussion at the time. The three selectmen were somewhat interested in doing something with it, but it was still the same question. Where would you move it to? And that building wasn't quite as big height-wise as 96 Main Street. And as now here we are almost 30 years later, and the available pieces of land are even fewer and farther between. So
plus, what would we do with it? I mean, we've seen it. It has almost no value historically.
Yeah. It's not as exciting. I'm not aware that the what is it, 239 Summer Street? I'm not aware that the ZBA has issued a decision on that as far as how they were going to treat the rear lot line. I suppose I could call Pat Driscoll and ask. But there's another piece of property that's going to be coming up, a very I think it's a very attractive property, historically, and it's just a really nice looking piece. And that's, Childs Bridge Farm, and it's down the end of Cherry Street.
Oh, okay.
If you know, the big subdivision that, they put in right on the Halifax line, right next to the
Mhm.
river. The farm that originally owned that land, it's a beautiful colonial, house. It must go back late 1700s, early 1800s. Mrs. Perkins, Mrs. Charlie Perkins, can't remember her first name. I know her son real well. I knew her husband real well. And I knew her a little bit. She was good friends with my mom. She passed away 2 weeks ago. And I was
Oh,
talking with, Tom, her son, and he said the family will be selling it because he doesn't believe, he or his sisters, have any interest in it because it's a big house and it's a big piece of property. It's probably the original house plus you could probably get 2 other house lots out of it if you were to break it
Oh.
up. It'd be nice if they could leave it alone, but, it's an expensive investment. So just if you're out riding around, take a ride down Cherry Street, and it's the last house before you get to the subdivision. And once you go past the subdivision is the river. So it's right there. It's on the left-hand side. It's a beautiful old colonial on Cherry Street. You can't miss it. It's, the last house in Bridgewater before you hit the Halifax line. So
The
it's
Halifax
really neat.
line's right on the river?
Yes,
Okay.
probably from, oh, probably a quarter mile north of the bridge is where the Halifax line and the river are the same. And then
Okay.
it follows, the Halifax line follows the river down to where it hits the middle line. And I'm not sure exactly how far down the river that is. But I'm looking at the map.
I'm trying to think where it is, because I live on Cherry Street.
You do?
Yeah.
You go down Cherry Street, you make the 90-degree bend at Short Street.
Yep.
Okay,
And
well, you continue,
yeah, the river's there, and it's right after the
you know where
river?
the cemetery, know where the cemetery is?
Yes.
Cherry Street? Okay, just past the cemetery on the left-hand side is the
Okay.
Perkins property. It's a big lawn, there's 3 small buildings, in the lawn, there's a barn and there's an old cobbler shop and there's no tool shed. And then there's the
Okay.
house. Just before the subdivision, driveway that goes in. In between, well, I guess it's in between Calthrop Drive and, geez, I don't even know what the name of that street is, where the subdivision is.
I think it's Marigold.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But, so, the funeral for Mrs. Perkins is gonna be tomorrow. So it'll probably be a couple months or whatever until they decide to, deal with the estate, or they get around to dealing with the estate.
Okay.
So it'd be a shame to see. I asked Tom what the condition of the building was, and he said the house is very solid. His family has lived there for probably, I think it was when Felton died, probably 30 years. His father had moved back to the home. So he said that the house itself, the sills and everything are really solid. So that's a house that's gonna be coming up. Hopefully, if somebody does buy it to break it up, they'll be able to maintain or keep the original one. Be ashamed to see him go. And it would be neat to see that cobbler shop, relocated to the Ironworks Park. It's a neat little building. Yes, there are quite a few of them around town at any time. Yeah.
I'll try to get more information from Bill next time about that program.
Okay.
Sounds like that cobble shop would be a good candidate for it.
Yeah, yeah, it would be. And next time I have a chance to talk to Tom after the funeral, I'll ask him to consider donating it to the town when they sell the property.
Hmm.
So we just have to bear the cost of moving it. Speaking of moving things and down the ironworks, I was talking with Tom probably 2 weeks ago, and he asked me when we were going to move the iron implements out of the foundry. So he has a large ladle, very similar to the ladle that's down at the park now, and then of course the big casting. So I went down the highway barn to talk with the head of the highway department. I want to say Jeff, but he said he would go down and talk with Tom and go out and look at it to make sure it was something that town equipment can handle. Tommy will pick it up and put it in the truck, and then they got to bring it down there and take it out. And I think it is. They're heavy, but I don't think these things weigh more than 1,000 pounds, and it's something the front end loader can pick up very easy.
Mhm.
So,
Nice.
yeah, it'll be something to look forward to. Tom had thought that where there's one ladle down there now just on the side of the road before you go over the bridge, it would look really nice to have another ladle on the other side. So you have two of them, kind of like cornerstones.
Yeah.
And then
that'd be cool.
and then the big casting will be inside somewhere. I'll talk with Steve Black, and I know he's all excited about it, looking forward to it coming down. So I'll have to, because he's the park steward, we'll have to have him talk with the powers to be to make sure it's planted in the right spot. So, did I mention that there's a pollution problem down there? Contaminated soil.
No,
Um, when the project was going on to remove the bridge and rebuild the riverbed, they took a lot of material out, and the contractor stored it on Flaherty's property. That's the Advanced Pollution Control, which has the big building right behind the Lincoln Club, not the 49ers, but the Lincoln Club. You're going down High Street, it's a big building on the left-hand side. So we stored all the material there, and then when they left, I don't know what the reason was, whether, usually when you have contaminated material, you put down an impervious blanket or sheet of some kind, and you stockpile the material on top of that. And then when you take the material out, none of the pollution has leached down into the property. Well, for whatever reason, they didn't do that.
Oh,
And
boy.
it's come back on Mr. Flaherty, as he's been cited by DEP as being, I don't remember the exact terminology, but basically he's responsible for the pollution now, and he's pretty upset about it. So they're going back on the town. It was a town project. I thought it was something that the Fish and Wildlife had put together, but the town was the primary contractor on that because of the bridge replacement, and Fish and Wildlife came in secondary. So the town, well, Mr. Flaherty is holding the town responsible for his problems now. And of course, the man who ran the job is no longer working for the town. So I don't know where it's going to go, but it's too bad Mr. Flaherty ended up being rewarded for his allowing them to use his property. He actually let him use a portion of his office space for their construction office. When the stuff could have been stored on town property. I'm sure they didn't put it over there because the town didn't want the responsibility, because if they had known it was there, it's just unbelievable that we have a knowledgeable people on the town staff who should have been aware of this stuff. It's, it is what it is. So
How did they find out it was contaminated?
I don't know. I don't know if DEP came up and took some samples. I really don't know how DEP got involved. No idea. So I guess the project is just about done because they've got one telephone pole left that they've got to move because the telephone pole got put in the wrong place. It's out in the street and they put a new pole in on the sidewalk and now they just have to transfer all of the wires from from one pole to another. And I think that's going to be the end of it. But if you go down there now and look in the river, it's the river is very, very low. But that's typical for August and September as compared to what it was in the spring when we had all the rain. You can easily walk across it with just maybe getting water up to your ankles,
Well,
if that. So it's pretty low. Let's see, what else is going on? Town historically speaking. Oh, I was at the vision meeting
oh, yes.
at the Moakley Center a couple of weeks ago. And that was it was interesting. They were focusing on the town center. And I really, they had a nice presentation, but I didn't hear anything new that I hadn't heard before. They're in a process, design process of making some changes. They want to eliminate the diagonal parking. I guess they've got 2 or 3 different scenarios on how they're going to run traffic through the center of town. The area closest to the Masonic Lodge and the Congregational Church, one of the scenarios was to make that one way and have 2-way traffic on the other side of the common over by Lucky Star Gas and the old town hall. So that was one of the scenarios. But they were talking about all sorts of different ways to make it easier. They had a really neat video that they put together of people trying to cross the street. It was kind of funny because they take the scenes where they actually had somebody trying to step out in between the cars, and they'd speed up the cars and speed up the people to make it look like the people are running across the street and everything. And it's hectic, no doubt about it. It's next to impossible to get across there. But the video was very well done, and it emphasized the problem. But the thing that bothered me is they never addressed how to handle the traffic that is normally there from Route 18, 104, and Route 28. They said the 3 major roads intersect right there, but they never addressed how they were going to handle that differently than what it is now. They seem to focus just on making it easier for pedestrians to shop in the stores and be able to cross and bike lanes and everything else, but they never talked about how they proposed to deal with the 3 major routes that cross there. And I think that's a very critical component. But there's supposed to be another public meeting in was it March or April? And the public will be invited again to come down and listen to what they have to offer. So I ran into, at that meeting, this kid came up to me and started talking to me, and I didn't recognize him because he didn't have his baseball hat on. And the kid that brought us through 96 Main Street.
Oh, yeah?
He talked to me about it, and he says, oh, yeah, we'll get some new plans we're going to send over to you. And we've changed things a little bit. Right now, we're working with the fire department to do this and, drainage and engineering and everything. I said, well, have you submitted it to the planning board yet? No, we haven't. So they're still in the planning stages. And I'm I'm waiting to see his plans. And when I get them, I'll ship them over to you. But,
I hope it's not too different from what he said.
I think the only thing that would change is there may be 2 less buildings,
Okay.
because he
Oh.
said they were having trouble finding enough room for fire trucks to turn around, access the buildings.
Yeah.
Storm drainage and stuff like that. The same problems that had been discussed before, so could be a problem. But I asked him, I said, have you solved the water and sewer issues yet? And he said, no, we haven't. How about the drainage and the street runoff and everything? No, we haven't.
Mm.
Okay. So they're still heavily involved in design.
Hmm.
And the Broad Street project is pretty much the same. The hang up they have right now, I guess they went to the planning board, or Broad Street, or Friendly's project, however you want to classify it. They're short on parking spaces. And they were trying to buy land off of, as you go past the old Friendly's, heading up Broad Street towards East Bridgewater, the first house on the left-hand side.
Mhm.
He wanted to buy some land for him to give him the spaces he needed for parking. Well, that house is already undersized, non-conforming with current zoning,
Oh,
and there's a problem with making the lot even more non-conforming. So the developer is still not happy with the way things are going.
what does he intend to do with the Friendly's location?
A number of townhouses along the back edge.
Okay,
The bowling alley, he was still talking about retail space in there. So, and there's I've heard, been some real crazy conversations, him trying to justify it. Well, during the day, people will go to work and they'll take their cars with them, and then the retail operation can use the parking spaces for the retail. But they said, no, that doesn't fly. Because at night, everybody's coming home and there won't be any place for them to park. And on weekends, you'll have people at home with their cars, and the retail stores are still going to be open. So you need more space, or reduce the number of your units. I don't know what the number of units is. I'm thinking 30 or 40, somewhere in that area, but I could be wrong.
this isn't the
The
same
problem is-
proposal that they, a couple of years ago, when they voted it down because the traffic would be a big issue.
Right, the traffic is still an issue.
Okay, is it a
But this
different
man has-
different contractor?
Different developer.
Okay,
What's his name? Mr. Cormier. Just the agent, but now I think he's more of a partner. And that development a couple of years ago called for taking down the bowling alley building completely and developing it with putting a number of other units in there. And I think that at that time it was like, I want to say 48 units, something like that.
mhm.
And there was an argument over the height of the units too. The number of units, they just said there was too many units on it, and that was the one where the town manager had negotiated with the owner and tried to broker a deal, and the planning board disagreed. So the deal never went through. So this new guy's come in with a different plan, and we'll see if he can find his parking spaces. So that's where that one is.
Be nice to see that eyesore changed.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's been ugly for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be able to justify the number of units with the money that they're paying for the property, and that's the problem. and the cost of development is so expensive. I suppose if they could get the value of the land down, but as far as I know, no, I know 96 Main Street has been purchased by the developer, but I don't
Mhm.
know that Broad Street has been purchased by the developer. So, I don't know where that's going.
Now,
But,
when you went to that vision meeting, it's fine to talk about the roadways, but are they talking about upgrading the stores downtown that people would want to go to?
well, the feeling is that if we can increase housing in the downtown area, there'll be more people in the area that will want to shop uh, at the stores. And if more people want to shop, then they can get better stores in there, better rents and so forth.
Mhm.
When I met with Don Gottschalk, the owner of the Greyhound Tavern, and this Mr. Cormier, and they said that Cormier said that Starbucks is chomping at the bit to get
Really?
in one of the stores in the center of town, like D'Angelo's or something like that.
Mhm.
They're ready to go because they said the demographics are such that it's a prime site.
Sure.
But the parking is key, and Starbucks has a big drive up business, and I drive up in the center of town with the traffic we have. Coffee's going to be awfully cold by the time you get back on the road. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, they wanted to slow traffic down.
Oh
That'll
yeah,
do it.
yep. Now it'll be backed up to the High Street lights and backed up to Field on the other end, and Main Street probably backed up to Center Street. So it's too bad. I don't know of any practical solution to the problem, and that's why it's going to be really exciting to see what they come up with. On one hand, they talk about wanting to make the businesses more attractive, but when the meeting was over, there was a woman that I was talking with, and she works with Ruley, and I don't remember her name. But I said, how many parking spaces are you going to lose by eliminating the diagonal parking? And she, well, I don't know. Here, let's ask Bob. And Bob was right there, so she dragged him into the conversation. And I said, Bob, I'm all for whatever you do to make the town better. But how many parking spaces are you going to lose by going to parallel parking? Well, it's not only parallel parking, but they're putting these calming bump outs. Every 3 or 4 spaces, they build this like a part walkway that it comes out about 8 or 10 feet into the roadway. And he says, we'll probably lose 50% of the street parking
Oh, boy.
in the downtown area. And I said, well,
Yeah.
how are you going to do that and attract business at the same time? And he
Why
said,
don't
well,
they just raise their crosswalks, make like a speed bump crosswalk?
well, that's a possibility, but the only thing that does is slows down traffic. And it makes it tough for snowplowing, but we haven't had a lot of snow in quite a while. But he's a firm believer in the concept of shared parking, and that's a really I think it's a great idea. If you go to Taunton or Middleborough, you're seeing the parking spaces all behind the stores, and it's all tied together.
Mm-hmm.
So you can pull in there, and many of the stores have the rear entries and so forth, and it works very well. But I'm not a developer, but let's see, how many years? A long time ago, when I was teaching at the high school, and I got out of there in 1990, I had my 3rd-year drafting class. I gave them that problem. How many parking spaces are downtown, and how many could you gain by shared parking? So the kids went down there and made all sorts of measurements, and we drew maps, and and everything. And we figured there were 700, as hard as it is to believe, there are 700 available parking spaces from the railroad tracks to the Academy building and going up Main Street. I think it went up as far as Pearl, and then going down Summer Street, it went down as far as the intersection of Summer and Plymouth. So there were 700 parking spaces, and once they eliminated all the barriers between the parking spaces, and I'm talking about being able to go from, if you pulled into the Friendly's parking lot, which was quite a big parking lot, and eliminate the barriers between Estabrook and Chamberlain, and then there's a dentist's office, and then you have the bank parking lot, and then you have the Episcopal Church parking lot. If you eliminated all of those barriers, and then over behind the Masonic Lodge, you'd be able to go right from the Savings Bank parking lot right up to the juice mill. Eliminate all of those spaces. Well, no, I guess you'd be up to the Tory House. Or maybe, well, I don't know, somewhere in there, but eliminate all of those, and then CVS, the town, the old town hall and so forth, the old Fairbanks and behind there. Combining all those parking areas, you could gain another 200 parking spaces. And it was a pretty good idea. So just for the heck of it, I went and rang some doorbells, and some of the merchants, yeah, it sounds great. And other of the merchants were, no way in hell I'm going to do that, because their concern is their number of parking spaces, available parking spaces, impacts the value of their building, the value of their property. Because the more parking spaces they have, the better the value of the building, because your patrons, you can bring in more patrons. But even though they agree that, yeah, it would be a good idea, but their questions were, well, who's going to take care of plowing? Who's going to take care of the liability? People going from one business, from one parking lot to another parking lot. Are we still going to be liable for maintaining the parking lots? And I checked with some people down in Middleborough, and the town of Middleborough has an agreement worked out with all of the business people that the town will plow the parking lot, provided that they remove all the barriers and everything. So there was some dealing going on, and it worked out pretty well. But I could never get the people in Bridgewater to go along with it, especially on the parking lot. I proposed being able to go from Broad Street behind all the buildings and come out on Pearl Street. And a couple of the businessmen in there said, no, absolutely not. I don't want those people behind my building who aren't coming into my building. And they were just dead set against it. So Mr. Rulli has a work cut out for him to try to come up with some kind of an agreement to allow that combined parking. Because without the combined parking, you take away 50% of the parking in the center of town, and you're hurting big time.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, can't do that.
No. So still a lot of challenges ahead of them. I wish them luck. But it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. And everybody seems to agree that they want to maintain the appearance of the downtown. Maybe do some facelifts on some of the buildings. They're kind of ratty looking, but we'll see. Time will tell. As a sidelight, I took a job in the summertime working as the interim building inspector for the town of West Bridgewater. Started the 4th of July for 60 days, and I'm going on my 3rd month now. They're not having much luck.
Oh man.
And I want to retire again. So it's been a lot of fun. West Bridgewater is a neat little town. It's only 8,000 people as opposed to our 29,000. And from day one I've been joking with them. That's like working in Mayberry. everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's business. Everybody's in everybody else's office all the time. And if you can deal with that, okay, you know, it's not my town, it's not my full-time job, so I don't mind it.
Yep.
But it's gonna take a special type of building inspector to go to work there. Because, it's not common, the way they run things up there. But I went to a, department head meeting today, and it was really neat. It reminded me of the old days in Bridgewater, where all the department heads would get together and work on problems. And they discussed bringing them before town meeting and getting the approval of the Board of Selectmen. And it was really, really neat. See everybody working together. So, you know, they still deal with social media. Social media is tough on every town government, no matter where you are and what you have, but it was a blast from the past, I guess you could call it. It was fun working with them. So we'll see. They've got a couple of big old colonials up there. They have no local historical commission to speak of. They run they have a museum. Historical Commission has a museum, and it's in the old firehouse behind the town hall. You probably never even knew it was there. But if you go into the parking lot in between the town hall and St. Anne's Church, it's tucked in behind the town hall. It's a old 2-bay firehouse, and I believe it's open on Saturdays in the summertime, but as soon as it gets cold, they shut the building down. And it might only be open by appointment or special occasions. And it's totally separate from the Old Bridgewater Historical Society, which is a private entity. West Bridgewater does have a small group of people that run their little museum. So, I have learned that Bob Beavis is not doing well. He's in a rest home facility. He used to come to our meetings. So if you remember him, the last time he came to a meeting, we didn't recognize him because he'd gotten so skinny. So he was a giant of a man, but he's got numerous medical issues. So, but I don't know, I've done a pretty good job talking. Anybody, I haven't put anybody to sleep yet, have I?
Not yet.
Nope. Just little things I find interesting is you've probably all seen the big, huge building they're building in West Bridgewater on the side of the Route 24. And some people, it's rumored to be an Amazon warehouse. It's that big. It isn't as big as the one down in Fall River, which is 1 million square feet. I think this one's about 600,000 square feet. This is the second one in West Bridgewater that will be, I commissioned the other one about a month ago, and these buildings are built as a box. There is no office space, no bathrooms, no nothing in them.
Yeah.
And they have no clients lined up.
Oh,
And it's just like the one on Bedford Street in Bridgewater.
I was going to ask you about that. We have no clients for that yet?
Nope.
Oh,
And you know, I talked to the guy in West Bridgewater on that big building, and he says it's a trend in marketing right now to build these big warehouses with no clients, and the clients will follow. I don't understand it, but the people who are building them are confident that there's something new about marketing and stockpiling product and materials, and it's a whole different way of marketing. It sounds crazy to me, but somebody's
No.
invested a lot of money
Yeah.
into it.
You're right. We had to go to town meeting. They wanted to put a driveway next to my Taunton property. So we didn't really want that. In the mall, that's
Yeah.
exactly what they proposed. They wanted like 7 or 8 empty buildings, but city of Taunton would only let them have like one or two first, but they had no clients. You know, that was a natural thing. Well, do you have clients that want to come in? Is it? And they said, no, 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 you know, just what you said, the clients will follow. But they put up these huge, huge buildings, and how many Amazons do we need?
I don't know. Well, Amazon's working out of the one on Elm Street. And it was one day in the spring after I got through testing the marijuana scales. I went over there just for the heck of it. I drove through the parking lot, and out behind Amazon works out of half of that building. And there must have been 50 cars out behind that building, and each car had a big wire basket that must have been 5 or 6 feet square on wheels, and it was filled with product and about 4 feet high, and it was filled with product packages. Amazon looked like the Amazon boxes that come to your house, and they were loading up their cars with this stuff, and they were all
Yep.
independent contractors delivering
Is
product.
that
Yeah.
the one where the Luciano buses are?
Lucini's,
Yes.
yeah, across from
Yes,
Lucini.
yep.
Yeah, I worked at that one for like a year,
Oh, okay.
a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was okay. I liked it. It was
Yeah.
honest work.
yeah.
But inside that building, I'd say about 70% of it is dedicated to like the robotic shelves,
Yeah.
all
Oh,
the products in there.
I'd
one
love to
day
see.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
One day I would like to go to Amazon and just see how it operates, because it's just, you know, you order it at 9 o'clock at night and it's here in the porch at 5:30.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Well, I can tell you a little bit. They have like different stations, right? They assign you a station when you start your shift. And the first one is you unpackage the individual products that got shipped to you.
Mhm.
You scan them and put them on, and it picks the program picks a shelf for you to put it in. Like it lights it up with like a red light or
Oh,
a green light. Red light for no, green light for yes. You put it in that shelf and move on to the next one. And then that shelf just kind of wheels away on its own. The next thing would be when someone orders something, the shelf comes to you and the screen tells you where it is, what it looks like. And you go in the shelf and you pick it out, you put it in another shelf that's behind you. And the person on the other side is the one who packages it
mhm.
and gets the label on. And it goes on this big conveyor belt maze thing and gets all the stickers. And then it goes to, then the next person stationed at a certain letter, like A, B, all the way to, I think, J. And so you got to find this, the corresponding sticker that has the letter of the station you're at, and you take it off the conveyor belt, put it on a shelf, and then the person with the basket that Dave mentioned comes by and loads them up, and then once it's filled up, it's ready to go. Someone someone comes and takes it.
Are they stocked 24/7 with workers?
Yes, it's a 24/7 job.
Oh. I know my son has a friend, he's head of the security in Boston, and Jeff Bezos was in town, I would say about a month or so ago, and he got to meet him and talk to him, and it's just unbelievable, the systems that
Yeah,
Kyle tells us about. It's crazy.
yeah.
My mind can't think that fast. That's why he's rich and I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
the
it is.
robotic shelves are pretty cool because there's dozens of them all interlocking and moving together at one. They never
Mhm.
crash into each other. and they're zipping around, and these things are like really heavy.
Yeah, if you do some exploring on YouTube, Sherry, there are some interesting videos on that type of systems.
Oh,
It's amazing. And they give you tours of the building and show just how the little robots are underneath the shelves that Jeff talks about.
Yep.
And they know where to go with those shelves, and they just move all over the place. So it's
just
amazing.
like the hospitals, they have the medicine carts that deliver everything and, they don't bump into you. They just go where they need to go.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
ran
and-
into a guy and through my building inspecting thing at a house in West Bridgewater, and he asked me if I had seen some particular program, and I said no, never heard of it. He said, well, let me show you. So he pulls out his phone and he shows me on the phone where it was a ranch style house, maybe a 36-foot ranch, and they added a second floor to it. So he showed me the original house, and they went in with this little computer, and it took pictures of everything, and it generated a set of plans, a bill of materials, and everything, three-dimensional drawings. And then after they framed it, they put the computer inside, put a camera inside the middle of each room and took a picture of the rough frame. So that after they sheetrock it and insulate it, they know where every stud is, where every wire is, where every pipe is, and it's all on computer. And he showed me the detail is so great that they could read the writing on the wires that they had installed. So it leaves nothing to the imagination. It's just an incredible system. So, and I'm sure this marketing, it's the same way. It's just,
Yeah, it's amazing.
yep. So,
yeah, it was pretty neat too. Like if something fell off the shelf, you'd had a guy who would have to go out there, and he was wearing a backpack with a giant antenna sticking out of it, and it sends a signal to the robots like don't go near him.
I don't blame them.
yeah, it's amazing. A friend of mine was the building inspector down in Fall River when they commissioned that Amazon warehouse, and that's a $1.2 million in square footage. And I wasn't able to go to the open house. He invited the building inspectors down to see it, and they got a tour of the building. And everybody who saw it just said it was just something that was unbelievable to see. So, well,
That's our future.
Yep, absolutely. So next month we'll try to do it on the third Tuesday, get back into our regular. Oh, Jeff, I think you were there when I was asking Josh. I've attended a couple meetings via Zoom. One was a Historic District Commission meeting, and the other one was a Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. In that meeting room upstairs in what used to be my office, but it is possible to do a Zoom meeting using the system up there.
Yeah.
And I know some of us have become quite comfortable. CPC meets up there, don't they, Jeff?
No, they're still Zoom.
Still all Zoom. Oh well. But anyways, give it some thought. I know it's we're not a real active board, so that we don't have a lot of public coming in, so it's probably not a need for us to use that, but
Well, I don't mind learning it, but I think maybe we should at least someone plus me should learn it in
sure.
case I can't make it.
Yeah. Okay, Jeff, what's your schedule like afternoons? I mean, what's better for you, mornings or afternoons?
Mornings would be better.
Mornings? Okay. Well, I'll talk with Josh about it, and I'll discuss it with you, and maybe we'll set up a time. We'll get down there someday and learn how to use the system.
Okay.
Probably closer to our next meeting so that we can give it a try. And if Sherry and Matt want to come down, I'll stay at home Zooming. it's up to you.
Okay.
Oh, there was another, yeah, I almost forgot. I had sent you an email a couple weeks ago about Counselor Mary McGrath. She's setting up a booth at Autumn Fest
Mhm.
to try to recruit people for the different boards and commissions. I can't be there until about 2 o'clock. And I'm going to attend, but I'm going to talk with her beforehand and make sure that the Historical Commission name gets on her agenda. So that's this Saturday, and Autumn Fest is 10 to 4, I believe. And it's going to be on the quad at the college. So if you want to go by and take a look and say it from the commission and, or whatever, and answer any questions, it's there. So that's this Saturday, 10 to 4,
Okay.
and hope for good weather.
I won't be able to make it. Youth
Yeah.
sports eats up my weekends.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I can either. My mother-in-law passed away, so we have to, get some arrangements done
Yeah.
and get this finalized.
One last question, Sherry, I gotta ask,
Mhm.
is that the ethnic spelling of your last name? Or is that a spelling error?
Oh, what do you mean? Where is it
It
wrong?
says Sharon Anderson.
Oh, that's wrong.
Instead of Anderson, it's Anderson.
Oh.
Okay.
No, that's
I-
wrong.
I had never seen Anderson spelled that way.
It's not.
Okay. All right. So, okay, until next time, you'll be
Right.
hearing from me. All right,
Okay.
and anything exciting comes up, give me a call and we'll get it on the agenda.
Okay, thanks for all the information, David. It was
All
very
right.
interesting.
Yeah. Okay, good night.
Good night.
Good night.